Okay, hi everyone. We are just a couple of minutes over time, so I think we'll get going, and then other people can join us as they come on. So hello and welcome. My name is Paul Wilson, and I'm the CEO and the co-founder of Chomp Digital Food Safety. And it's really pleasing to see a good number of auditors from around the country, different states. G'day to all of you out there. The aim today is to keep this to a 30-minute talk, and I want to allow for 5 minutes towards the end for any questions that might pop up. So if they do pop up, I'll deal with them at the end of the talk. And my goal today is just to sort of talk a little bit about digital food safety, Chomp, and in particular how we're going to help the users, particularly in Australia, with their food safety recording, and also with auditing purposes when it comes to audit time, how you guys can engage with the app in a more meaningful way. So what I'll do is I will just share this screen and we'll get going. So starting off with just a little bit about myself. So my background is Chomp's been in business since 2016. We are a Queenstown, New Zealand founded business. So we're based in Queenstown, New Zealand. My personal background, well, I've been in hospitality and tourism dating way back to about 1985. At the time, I disappointed my mother and left a respectable teaching job in Perth, and I entered a career in casinos. And that ultimately took me all over the world, and it's how I ended up in Queenstown. So fast forward into 2006, I exited casinos and I opened up a pizza restaurant in Queenstown. A very interesting 8 years of my life that was. But that's also where I was introduced to food safety rules and regulations. In 2011, my local council, which is the Queenstown Lakes District Council, they entered a trial program initiated by the New Zealand Ministry of Primary Industries, MPI, and this trial was a precursor to what was to become the New Zealand Food Act of 2014. So it was a brand new act, and it became enforceable in 2016. Businesses in New Zealand were given a maximum of 2 years to comply, so a lot longer lead-in period. You had a year, I believe, with 3.2.28. So we've got, and that depended on the type of business you were as well. So basically in 2011, I and a lot of other businesses in the Lakes District region, we became like beta clients to help MPI work out how this was going to roll out with a wider audience of New Zealand. In February 2016, food operators were introduced to this document that you're seeing on the screen now. And this is called Simply Safe and Suitable. It wasn't the first iteration of the Food Act of 2014 that came out. The first one was called Safe Serve. It was about double the thickness of this document. This one, fully printed, is about 80 pages. Safe Serve is about 160. It was a really intense document, very confusing, and MPI quickly, to their credit, realised that they had to make it easier for kitchen teams and owners to understand what the regulations were and their obligations. So they pulled out within a month or two of starting this new version called Simply Safe and Suitable, and to their credit, they did a pretty good job. So this has become the New Zealand Food Safety Bible, and as I said before, rolled out by MPI and overseen by councils. It is based on HACCP principles, so it's fully HACCP aligned. Also, we follow FSANZ rules. So Food Safety Australia and New Zealand, we work together. That's how it links the two countries. So what happens in one country happens in another, more or less. So similar to the standard 3.2.2a, which comes into enforcement in 3 days. Any changes that haven't been made to that document, some of those have been reflected in the New Zealand document. For example, we are all now expected to do a mock food recall as part of the new standards, and that is New Zealand and Australia, not just Australia. Simply Safe and Suitable covers the entire country in New Zealand, and it requires all ready-to-eat providers to comply with the requirements outlined in this plan. So unlike Australia, where you have states, where you just two islands, but one big country that covers all. What I realised through the trial phase of 2011 to around 2014 was that the industry didn't know what was coming. They were not aware. They didn't have the operational changes ready to be implemented. There was a lack of training. There was a lack of understanding. Owners and kitchen teams largely buried their heads in the sand. Chefs, I knew they needed support. They needed help understanding what their role was in creating a culture of food safety and how to share responsibility, to understand that it didn't sit on one or two person's shoulders, that it was a shared responsibility across the whole kitchen and front of house teams. Owners had little awareness of what was happening in their kitchens, and if they did, it was normally when it was too late. So there were quite significant changes that required some levels of compliance and understanding. And it was really difficult for chefs to sort of get their head around what was required. And this is what I observed in the first few years of the new act being rolled out. Chefs sort of weren't really prepared for what they had to do, and they had to produce evidence-based records for auditors, something brand new for them that didn't really have any teeth before the 2014 Act. A successful review in an audit in New Zealand would give the business a 12-month window between audits. 2 consecutive successful reviews of A grade, that could sometimes push them out to 18 months between audits. So that was like a bonus. But conversely, a failed audit or anything below an A grade, you could see the auditors back within 6 months or less, depending on the grading that you received at the time. My personal experience when it came to recording on paper wasn't great. Initially, I was the underprepared owner. I didn't have eyes on my food plan. It didn't tell me what was due to be done and when it was due to be done. It didn't give me, as the owner, clear visibility of the success of my plan and how issues were being addressed, or were they being addressed? Were they followed up? Did we learn anything? So after consecutive 3 years of audits, I began to think there's got to be a better way. Look, I'm sure many of you may be aware, and if you're not aware now, you may become aware. This is a typical, or was a typical pattern of food safety compliance, especially applicable to me, but also to a number of my colleague operators. I found that they also followed a similar pattern of this rush for every audit. And I will own up and admit that there was a good amount of creative writing when it came to making my records fit for review. It was very time consuming and it was uber stressful. So my records weren't consistent due to a lot of factors, staff turnover, poor training, but ultimately it was my business culture in relation to food safety. It wasn't where it needed to be. And having folders sitting below counters that were forgotten about was a poor experience for me, and it made it really, really difficult for my staff as well. And then post-2016, this started to happen, and I'm sure you're aware of similar stories that you'll see in your socials and media in Australia. Business started to wake up that food safety or gradings and reviews were a real problem. So running a business wasn't just about cost of goods and staff costs, but food safety had a real strong bearing on the brand of the business. And brands could be easily destroyed with a poor review or a food poisoning outbreak. And it could destroy not only the business, but it could also make a professional dent in a chef's personal career. So this is when Chomp was born. It was developed on the back of my personal hospitality experience. And I knew that to get the maximum engagement, I'm not a techie, I'm a hands-on operator. And I knew that I've used apps that were tricky and difficult to use. I knew that this app had to be designed to be really simple and easy to understand so that it didn't create any barriers in the kitchen of not knowing what to do and when to do it. So what I did was I engaged with MPI. I went up to Wellington, I sat with them, I talked to them about what I was proposing. Chomp was the first food safety app in the country. 2 years or 3 years after we were operating, MPI contacted us and let us know that we were receiving an award from them for a significant contribution to food safety in New Zealand. So we're very proud of that and all the hard work that went into it. We've also made an effort to engage with the auditors in New Zealand. So we are a sponsor of the NZIEH. So we sponsor their annual conferences. We supply content from time to time for their newsletters. And look, feedback's a two-way thing. They've helped us develop our online auditing tool and given us some other feedback around what they think Chomp could do to be an easier and better product to use for both them and our clients alike. Chomp's now used in 5 countries around the world, so obviously Australia and New Zealand, but we're also Singapore, Japan, and Fiji. And our aim is over the next 18 months is to have offices set up right across Australia in all the major city centres and to help respond to the need of what we see coming from operators in Australia. We see a big opportunity and a big need for a product like ours that's really simple and easy to use. Look, Chomp, we aim to also educate and simplify. We try to help professionalise hospitality teams and we'd like to engage with them, give them some understanding of what they're doing and why they're doing it. So it's not just a box ticking exercise. It's a food safety culture. It needs to be as important to a chef as they sharpen kitchen knives, is what we like to say. Food safety, look, it needs to be understood. And the best operators that I've seen, they have a really supportive culture when it comes to food safety, including in all their weekly meetings. They discuss, are the records up to date? Have there been any issues? Have there been any complaints? And if so, they resolve them through the meeting process. And Chomp also provides a food safety training tool that helps our food handlers, which can be delivered to them online, and do some upskilling and training around their requirements as well. We know that a big part of supporting chefs and owners is helping support them through the audit process. Can be quite stressful for kitchen teams at times. So Chomp hopes to demystify that and make it really simple and easy for owners to engage with us and you guys and auditors to use our product in a really easy and meaningful way. So look, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to quickly pop out of that screen and I just want to dive into the app itself. And I want to just show you and talk to you about the experience that the user has in the kitchen, and then also talk about what the auditors will see when they audit a kitchen that is using Chomp. And what you'll see here is the dashboard, which is the audit tool that is used when it comes to auditing, and everything, all records that are maintained, and we don't delete records, they're there forever, but all records are maintained in any one of these little folders, and I'll go through this with you so you understand that to find something, it should be quite simple and quite easy to identify issues and etc. when they arise. There's also a little link at the top of here on this audit page, and venues, if requested by a verifier or an auditor, they can have this page emailed to them, and then the auditor can sit in their desk, in their office, and they can review the audit in their own time. So when they do come on site for an on-site visit, they already come armed with the information. They've already gone through the records. And if there are any questions, they can then just be precise and talk about days, times, and topics. So it saves the kitchen time, saves the auditor time as well. So first of all, quickly, just to have a look at the app. Chomp is a 2-part program, and you just saw one part of it there, which was the audit. The other part is this app. Now, the app is responsive to good information in, good information out. So when we onboard a new client in Chomp, they all get access to their own audit page, and you'll see down the left-hand side here, there's a whole range of different food safety elements that they could activate on their plan. And by activating them, by giving them a title and a task and a method, then they will appear on the app. If you do not activate a topic, for example, if you do not have sous vide and you don't activate anything in the sous vide calendar, it will not appear on the app. So it's as simple as that. And then once you have loaded your plan, now Chomp does come with some templates to help businesses get going, but in essence, the tasks need to be reviewed and need to be maintained by the actual venue themselves. So here's an ideal of a cleaning list. And if you click on the edit, you can also see it gives the venues the idea that they can also make notes and around the method, so that this is what's displayed to the staff when they come to do these particular jobs. So anything that's loaded in here will appear on the app. The app is very clever, but it is not as clever as the dashboard, because that's where all the hard work gets done. This is where all the easy work gets done. Chefs come to work every day. Kitchen teams open their Chomp app, and it will display only on their app what is due to be done right here, right now, today, in the morning, in the afternoon, and the evening. Now, there's a lot of tasks sitting on this app. This is my demo training app. So not all venues will have anywhere near as many of these tasks, but I do have them all there just to show you. So what the kitchen teams will do, they'll come in the morning, and most kitchen teams, like for example, might want to do their fridge temperature records in the morning. So that will be showing them at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. whenever they open. They click on the icon, the names of their fridges. This has all been preloaded because that's been done in the dashboard. And then all they need to do is enter the temperature of the fridge temperature, enter the staff member's name, and then the fridge temperature gets sent back to the dashboard, which I'll show you again very shortly. Chomp knows when there is a fail. So if a temperature gets recorded at 9.4 degrees, it knows it should be 5 degrees or less, and it will not let you save it until such time as there has been a reason for what has happened or what they have done around this fridge. So they might say simply found fridge unplugged. Through food away. Okay, hit save, and then that sends that temperature back to the dashboard. If I was to complete all the tasks, so for example, every day we ask businesses to check their kitchens to see if there's any sign of pest activity. If it's a yes, it will then ask them to make a note as to what they saw. If it's a no, then it will be saved and it disappears off the page. It knows that it needs to come back tomorrow. So tomorrow morning, pest control will be back on the app. So the app will remove tasks once they're done and only show the kitchen teams what's to be done right here and today. If they completed all their morning tasks, the app would show just some blue boxes at the bottom, and then at midday, any afternoon task would appear, and then at evening, any evening task will appear. So it spoon feeds the teams what they need to be doing when they need to be doing. The reason these little tasks here are orange is because they've become overdue, which means they were meant to be done this morning. It's now 3:20 p.m. in Queenstown, so it's gone overdue. So it's like a warning signal to the team saying, hey, these tasks should have been done. They haven't been recorded as being done. Can somebody please prioritise and do this? Oh, here's my open list. Did you turn the lights on? Yes, you did. Did you clean the menus? Yes, you did. Hit done. It can still be done, and then it removes it. It will return it tomorrow knowing it needs to be done. The green tasks are due, which means my cleaning tasks. These are my afternoon cleaning tasks. And you can see that the name of the task and the methodology on how they want the task to be done is written below here, so that the kitchen teams can click done and come back and do the next one, or they can click complete all. They've just completed all the jobs and don't need to return to do the next ones following up. So that's the way that the app is used in the kitchen. It's really simple. It's really easy. Minimal training required. Most kitchen teams, once they get their app loaded, pick it up, press the button, and they understand pretty quickly what's required to be done. If they're doing cold held food, then it'll ask them to do a temperature check of the food. If it's doing meat and poultry temperature checks, then it will ask them to choose the meat process and then check the temperature. If it fails below 75, then it will say to them, hey, are you using a different cooking method to check your temperature? And if you click yes, and then it will send it through as correct. If it's no, obviously it's a failed temperature reading, and it requires them to make comments as to what they've done to rectify the situation going forward. So all these tools are available for all our venues. That's what the user gets to see. What the operator gets to see is this dashboard as well. So this is run by owners and managers and head chefs. When a record is completed, it goes in this diary field and it shows the venue every day. This is the records that have been made, and it will display them really simply and easily. If there is an issue, it will highlight it in red. It'll allow them to open up, and it will allow them to see what was done. And if they want to edit the note or add further notes to it, they can simply type into the box and add more notes. This is obviously some of the stuff that they want to do to have ready so they can talk to their auditors about these issues when they occur, when they come through audit time. There's a number of other features here which I won't go into, but in particular what I want to talk about next is the audit itself, because I'm aware of the time. This little tool here, which is found on the dashboard page here, is called the audit report. Once they click on the audit report, this page will then open up. So all records that this venue has made over time are showing now for the verifier to review. You can see, and because, for example, COVID safe practices, we have them all listed here because we don't delete records. We keep all records and they're there for prosperity forever and ever and ever. Amen. So refrigeration temperatures, if you wanted to check the fridge or the freezer temperatures, you click on refrigeration, you click on fridge temperatures, and then what Chomp would do, and what we've tried to do, and this is feedback directly from our verifiers that tell us this, is that they like the way paper looked. So we tried to make the report look a little bit like paper so that you can scan your eye across and you can see the consistent readings of temperatures. And when there was a temperature out of kilter, we highlight it, we don't hide it, and then you click on that temperature and it will hopefully explain what happened or what was done to rectify it by the staff at the time. So the verifier gets to see very quickly and easily all the records that have been made over time. You can use the arrow toggles to go backwards weeks at a time, or if you want, you can open up the month and you can go back months at a time as well, and you'll be able to see records, and then you'll be able to find any high temperatures. And this one didn't have any comments written, but that would be a comment in itself that the verifier would say, hey, well, what went on here, you should probably have made a note, as this one has here. So this is how the verification gets used. Calibrations, everything has its own category. We have a CV calibration tool. So if there was ever a CV calibration done, you'd be able to click on it and it would be able to show you the bath temperature. And then we'd be able to show you 5 temperature zones within the bath temperature to make sure that it is or isn't calibrated to that temperature. Here you can obviously see this one has been put out of service because we're reading these odd temperature ranges. Okay, so all the categories are quite clearly marked: smoked foods, hot smoking, smoking to flavour, acidified foods, sickness, food complaints, food recalls. They can all get loaded here because the app allows for these things to be recorded. Food complaints, we can make notes here. Food recalls, we can make notes here. So the app gives the ability for the venue to make the records that are required when they are required, and for the verifier to see them very quickly, very easily, all in one place. So these are like individual paper folders, but inside each folder, you will see all the records that have been kept in relation to that business's plan. Sushi rice mixing, open and closed lists, self-audit. This is a tool that Chomp has developed where we set, it's sort of like ongoing training every 2 months, but it can be more regularly. A task will pop up on the staff's app and it will be like instructing or watching a staff member do a particular process. Here's one here, checking your plan is working. So this one here is calibrations. And what we're doing is we are watching a staff member how they are going to calibrate a thermometer. So we're not so worried about the temperature of the thermometer, but we are worried about does the staff member actually know how to calibrate a thermometer? So once the staff member is being watched, you can choose the name of the staff member. Did they follow the procedures correctly? Yes or no? And if no, then describe what the corrective actions, which is obviously further training. If it was yes, then it's hit done. And then that then reflects in the report here so that you can see the types of headings of different types. And we've loaded a lot of these in, but venues can set their own up as well. And you can click on the tick and you can see that this is what's been set up for washing hands and who was tested and who overstored. So it's an ongoing training process within the plan, and that's how that's set up. So this tool here predominantly is being worked on. We've changed this from its first iteration on the back of some really great feedback we've had from our verifiers and auditors in New Zealand, and we continually listen. So if you guys come across Chomp, and you experience something and you can see a better way, or you can see something that you think would make your job a little bit easier, then look, we're all ears. Please do let us know, and we can then add those ideas to our roadmap of development so that we end up with a tool that, because obviously if it makes it easy for you, it helps our clients a lot more as well. Things like proven cooking methods, we have all of that registered and recorded in the plan, and then you can also check that if they say that they've got a method of cooking chicken breast and they do it 3 times, we can prove it here because you can see the 3 different times it was cooked, etc., etc. So all those tools are available and found on the audit page. And as I said before, you get the link sent to you if you request it of your venue. You know they're using Chomp. They can send you this link and you can have access to this page and you can dive in and out of their records and check what was being recorded and do what you need to do, and then come on site pre-armed, pre-ready to maybe do the physical check more than the paper check. So that takes us to 3:28. So that's bang on 30 minutes. So I think I'm going to stop there. Now we have, I'd love to be able to, if you want to reach out and contact us, please do so. I'll just bring up my screen again. If you'd like to contact us, then you can via here. So that's our website, that's our email support. My direct email, instead of the word support, you just put paul@chompfoodsafety.com. Happy to receive a personal email as well. If you have any other questions, you'd like a copy of the Simply Safe and Suitable, or anything else that you think we could help you with, then please let us know. And we're getting more and more interest every day from Australia. In fact, I'm doing a demonstration directly after this meeting with a hotel in Broome. So we are coming and we are looking forward to it, and huge opportunity for me, because I'm really looking forward to it because I get to spend a lot more time back home. So with that, I'll leave you, and hopefully I'll run into you sometime in the near future. Thank you very much for your time, everybody. Bye for now.